because technically there's no dairy, so we legally can't call it ice cream, but we basically call it ice cream anyway. But yeah, thank you, Jeffrey, for the introduction, and thank you for having me today. It's been so inspiring, to hear from the amazing doctors and, the testimonials as well. So yeah, I'm really excited to share a bit about my journey. So I was diagnosed with celiac disease when I was 13 years old. And I guess, at the time I wasn't very sick. I always was the kid who was in the bathroom though. And I didn't think that there was anything wrong with that per se. It was just kind of my normal. And I have a younger brother, his name's Sam, and he was not growing, similar kind of to what Miles was saying. He was very underweight. And my parents, of course, were freaking out because they didn't know exactly what was going on with his health. And they took him to every single doctor out there. One doctor thought he may have had, cancer. So it was very stressful for my parents. And finally, he found a doctor who had told my family about celiac disease, which was something that none of us had ever heard of. How many years? This was 12 years ago. So, my parents grew up eating whatever they wanted. For the first 13 years of my life, it was definitely the same way. I ate pretty much anything I wanted, but was always relatively sick. And so when we found out about celiac disease, my whole family was tested. We all had endoscopies. And of course, my brother and I both had it. So we both started a journey together of being gluten-free. And to my surprise, I have to say, like when I met various different, doctors and nutritionists at the time, they told me I needed to follow a gluten-free diet. And I started purchasing all of these gluten-free foods that were substitutes for foods that I previously loved, like bread, pizza, cake, cookies, you name it. And I still really didn't feel so great. And at that point, I was, a teenager, and definitely did not understand that the ingredients that you eat affect how you feel. No one had ever really told that to me. It was always be gluten-free and you will be okay. But I still, throughout my, teenage years, was pretty sick most of the time. And I really had a hard time figuring out what foods were triggering me. And I think, looking back now at some of the brands that I was purchasing, I look at the ingredients today and I don't even recognize half of them. So it was definitely pretty shocking for me to think that, gluten-free equaled healthy. And when, if I had eaten, potentially, gluten or just a more clean version of, a gluten food instead of the gluten-free food filled with lots of fillers, I would have probably felt better. So that was definitely something that was shocking for me to learn. And, something that no one had ever really told me, despite going to, many different nutritionists over my lifetime. So when I got to college, I was studying a lot and really, I think, ignored my nutrition completely, which was something that I started seeing different kinds of physical health effects that I had never had before, like hair loss, extreme fatigue. I was definitely not, getting the nutrition that I needed, but also I think, I didn't really understand what kind of nutrition that I needed. So I started investigating into different, diets, and I learned about the paleo diet, which was really, the first introduction to how I learned about SCD. So at the time when I started college, I went to the University of Chicago. I was strictly eating, I want to say ice cream from the dining hall that was marked gluten-free. And of course I was getting really sick. And I started, really wishing that I could indulge, but knowing that all of the options that I thought were healthy at the time because they were gluten-free, dairy-free, or organic, were really upsetting my stomach. So my co-founder, Erik, and I started making, ice cream in our dorm and sharing it with people. And we were so shocked that it tasted better than the ice cream that, I was eating previously, and that everybody that we shared it with seemed to really love it. So it was just made with banana, honey, fruit at the time, and a little bit of coconut cream. And we started, kind of creating all of these fun flavors, sharing them with friends. And then we entered into a pitch contest at our college where we won a grant to launch Frönen into the market. And that was the end of 2017. So Erik and I were both still in college. So we waited until Erik graduated in 2018 and officially launched Frönen in the summer of 2019 into our local Chicago markets. And to give you all some background about Frönen, not all of our flavors are SCD. I want to say we accidentally made an SCD compliant ice cream because we put in all the ingredients that I knew didn't hurt my stomach. And then, those in the SCD community started finding us in stores. And that's how we really learned more about the SCD community in general and had an introduction, to how wonderful this community is, how wonderful the diet is. I wish I had known about it 12 years ago. I wish my mom had known about it 12 years ago. My brother follows an SCD lifestyle as well. So it's definitely something that we are, grateful to have found. And, I'm glad I found it in my early 20s rather than, later. But I think that we definitely, any kids right now who know about SCD are so lucky. So that's definitely amazing. But yeah, we have a few compliant flavors for Frönen that are SCD, our banana coconut, Madagascar vanilla, strawberry, peanut butter flavors are all compliant, and they're made with just fruit, coconut cream, and organic honey. So there's no gums, fillers, dairy. We like to say if a 5-year-old can't pronounce an ingredient or draw it on a chalkboard at their school, then you will not find it in our ice cream. And that's a mission that we're, carrying everywhere we go. But yeah, so we're now sold in close to 700 stores throughout the US. We started mostly in the Chicago market, and we launched throughout the greater Midwest in Michigan, Wisconsin, Minnesota, and then we launched into Wegmans on the East Coast and are now starting to launch into some stores in Florida. So hopefully that'll happen sooner than later, and on the West Coast as well. And it's definitely been an exciting journey having your own company. As somebody who really prioritizes health, I think just, having communities like this that understand that the ingredients that you eat, impact your well-being and your body is so important. And I think, we were really surprised that when trying to teach people about our ice cream, they would look at our ingredients and then look at other brands and say, oh my goodness, I didn't know that my Halo Top had 12 ingredients that I don't really recognize, or gums, or, erythritol, or certain ingredients that definitely hurt their stomach. So it's been kind of an interesting awakening, and also amazing to teach other people about eating better for you diets. That is me. And I'm happy to take any questions. And yeah, thank you.
Do we have any questions? I didn't see any. Where do you get your honey that's used in your ice cream? Can we be sure it does not contain fructose syrup or anything else?
Yes. So anybody who is interested, I will leave an email and we can send you guys a spec sheet for our ice cream, for the honey that we use, but none of our ingredients have any other, fillers in them. And our sourcing expert, Erik, is definitely 100% on that and has all of that information to send to you. So I'll drop an email right in the chat.
And when you said a spec on it, what do you mean? Can you share what a spec means?
Yeah, just information about what's in it. It's 100% organic honey, but I think it goes into the microbiological testing, the nutrition label, pretty much everything that we need in order to have it go into a food facility to be made in a certified food facility.
Okay,
So
so I just wanted to ask you about that, because as we move into a SCD food certification program in the future, I just wanted people to be aware that in order for you to put any ingredient into your container, you have to identify it with a special specification sheet that lists out many, many different things, correct? You
yeah.
said that in order to get certified.
Yes. So for our facility that we manufacture our products at, they have what's called an SQF certifying agent. So if we say on our nutrition label, it's, just coconut cream, right? Which our coconut cream is made with just, pure coconut cream, no gums like you see in most coconut creams on the market. Our manufacturer would mandate that, we have to write in any sub-ingredients on our nutrition label if there are any sub-ingredients present, because they have a special certification for their facility. We're in a facility that has a certification. I have to say that, if you're a packaged goods making it in a facility that, or a co-manufacturer that doesn't have a certification, it's definitely always important to email the company, because there could be hidden gums or other ingredients in the products that you have to be careful about. And surprisingly, grocery stores don't really mandate, checking those things. So we always, for me, if I'm curious about a product and it says coconut milk, but there's no sub-ingredients in the coconut milk, I will reach out to the company and just say, hey, is there any gums in this? And can you send me some more information about it?
And when you say some more information about it, what does that mean? I'm sorry I'm pressing you.
No,
Just,
most of the time.
What I'm dialoguing with you is just for a moment, is just to educate people that the labels aren't always as perfect as they should be. And this is what you're discussing. That's why I think the question was asked, is how do we verify your source? So.
Yeah, I think so. It's hard for when you say like, who is your supplier? Because sometimes brands like to keep their suppliers confidential, because they could share them with other brands in the competitive space. So I typically would hope for like a sheet that blurs out the name of the supplier, just with some, information about like the ingredients. So a spec sheet, which I can try and find an example of online, or I think even just Googling like food spec sheet would help. And it's hard because, to some degree, if I email a company, I trust that they're not lying to me about what's in the products too. But it's definitely, it's a tough space with, packaged foods and SCD, because I think that, I would hope, anybody who's manufacturing a food product would be honest with their consumers, because they could get sick. And if they get sick, then the liability is on the company. So I can't imagine someone would lie, but if anyone has a story about it, or, if anybody could share with me what they look for as well, that would help us too, for when we receive emails from customers, like, does your coconut cream have gums in it? Any of that would be helpful for us too.
Well, you taught me when you taught me about coffee ice cream. So, I didn't know that coffee ice cream that is sold in the market now has caffeine in it. So, I never thought about, and I've been asking people if they know about a decaf coffee and ice cream, and they're like, what? It's just coffee ice cream. But
yeah, I was surprised at that as well. And definitely, you have to read everything and then read what isn't even there, which is tough. But if you find a packaged product that you love that's safe to eat, it's definitely worth reaching out to the company. I have a funny story if anybody wants to hear it. So our name is Frönen, and there's a company that owns, I think it's dryers, called Fröneri. And occasionally we get upset customer emails about people finding things in their Breyers ice cream, like they'll find a piece of metal or whatever it is. And we'll get these very angry emails about how people found things in their Breyers ice cream. And we, for the life of us, can't figure out why, we were getting those emails. And then we realized that the name was pretty close to the parent company of Breyers. So we get some of those emails from people, and we always laugh and are like, we have no affiliation with this company. We are so sorry. But our guess is that maybe the people at Breyers don't respond to these requests, and then customers look for other affiliated companies. So we get all kinds of emails like that that always make us laugh.
So one of the questions is any new flavors in the works, and what's going to be happening for you in the future? What can we do to support you so we can have, like Dr. V just wrote, he searched your company, the zip code, and he's on his way to pick home some from work. So.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, well, thank you so much. So in the works right now, we are working on a coffee flavor, which we're hoping, we don't know when we're going to launch because we just switched to a larger manufacturer and they have larger runs, but we may produce it at our old co-manufacturer's facility and sell it online just to start. We are working on rebranding our packaging a little bit. So I'll definitely be making an announcement in the group when that's done. Would also love feedback from everyone too on our new packaging designs. Just learning through customer engagement and customer demos. And our other priority is really getting our, core flavors, our chocolate, vanilla, strawberry, peanut butter, banana, coconut, and vanilla into more points of distribution. I wish we could launch new flavors every month, but as a small company, it's so expensive to get packaging for, new flavors, to reserve line time, and to have a lot of inventory when we produce new flavors. So we're looking for kind of a smaller manufacturer to help us maybe launch more, flavors per year that we exclusively sell online as kind of a fun, flavor of the month type thing. But don't hold me to that because we haven't found one yet. But with our current co-manufacturer, they have really large minimums, and that's why we produce our flavors that are only in grocery stores with them, because we have enough, grocery stores that order our flavors to justify, making that inventory and holding it for a few months while it sells. But with new flavors, it's really difficult to, get them into a grocery store immediately. So we're always hoping that I could find a smaller manufacturer and we can, potentially find one that we do maybe fun online flavors